And all of us up here would like to thank the public for their endless support in voicing their opposition to tolls and coming out to many of public hearings and meetings in this building. That means a lot. And but for your efforts, we would not have reached the goal of stopping the special session on tolls. So thank you for your hard work, and thank you for coming here today regarding the public hearing.
Thank you.
So, and of course, Laura and Henry being the two folks who went around this state and held many public hearings so that people could understand about it. I want to thank them. And Pat Sasser and his group, what a terrific group they have done. And the Yankee Institute as well. Thank you so much for the Yankee Institute's efforts. So we are here in a public hearing. And, you know, we've talked a lot about why we don't like tolls, the distrust of government, and so forth and so on. But this bill that is before this legislature for a public hearing at 1 o'clock on a Friday afternoon, knowing that that is going to result in many people in the public saying we do have a life and we can't be here all the time, this bill is the worst toll bill that I have seen put forth by the folks on the other side of the aisle. This bill gives a board that's unelected unlimitless power to add tolls, unlimitless power to raise the toll rates. They claim that they put in a provision that would stop the legislature from tolling cars. And that bonding provision is weak at best, and I would argue invites the tolling of cars, because it says that the bond covenant would only allow you to toll trucks to pay back the money that's owed. Well, if you say that and you add cars and trucks to it, you have improved the value to the bondholders. You've made them adequately protected. So that is not a covenant that can be enforced in any real sense of the word. In addition to that, it talks about that the ability to stop people from avoiding to pay tolls. Well, how do you do that? And there's only one way to do that. For trucks who are going to get off, how do you stop them? You close exit ramps. That's how you do it. And the authority is in this bill for that body to close exit ramps. Now, did we see that happen? Yes, in Stratford. When Stratford put up their tolls and they saw people getting off before the tolls northbound and southbound, they closed the exit ramps, forcing people to go through the tolls. And that economically hurt the town of Stratford. There are other provisions in here. Personal information. You look at this bill, and it describes a toll consumer, and their personal information will be destroyed. But a non-toll consumer is not defined. It says all toll information will be destroyed 15 days after it's collected. But within that 15 days, there's no provision that would stop someone from selling that information. So personal information is not protected. The list goes on how bad this bill is, how poorly it's drafted. But I got to tell you, this is the key element that talks about a bad bill. The Office of Fiscal Analysis came out with their report. And in their report, they talk about that tolls can generate on a net figure, $129 million to $304 million. So we saw this report, we contacted OFA and said, where do those numbers come from? How did you get it? If you recall, the Republicans have been asking for pro forma numbers for months and months and months, and we got nothing. Nothing. So we said, where did you get your information? They said, we'll send you what DOT sent. A one-line item. One line. And it says in the notes, this revenue estimate is preliminary, does not qualify as investment grade. A full traffic and revenue analysis will be required for a final toll system plan. This is beyond irresponsible. This is beyond irresponsible. You haven't done a pro forma to say that the plan that you're asking the legislature to approve, you don't have any backup for? You've been dealing with this problem for 3 years. This administration a year. You can't put numbers that we could all read? How dare you? How dare you? And tell the public this is the answer? This bill in front of the legislature, in front of the I guess, public hearing at this point, is not a transportation plan. It is simply a tolling authorization plan. That's all it is. There's no promise for trains, there's no promise for bus service, there's no promise to do any project whatsoever. And it is totally out of the control of the legislature and in hands of a body that's picked and controlled. That's not how we want to do business in the state of Connecticut. And I'd like to bring the minority leader of the House, Themis Klarides.
Thank you, Senator, and I also thank all the amazing groups that he mentioned that are here with us today that you'll hear a little bit more from later, because this was truly a team effort, and this will continue to be a team effort because the people of Connecticut have spoken. You heard about the specifics that the Senator mentioned, so I won't repeat those. But just to touch on a few, and then to talk about the question why. First of all, a bond covenant says what it says. But let's be honest. People who buy bonds and invest in bonds want one thing. They want to be paid. Do you think they particularly care if there's 12 tolls, 50 tolls, trucks, cars? They don't care. That's not what their investment is about. Their investment is about getting the money that they're investing and getting it back. So this notion that the bondholders and the bond covenants will affect this is preposterous. Secondly, all the items Senator mentioned, excuse me, in the bill lead us to one conclusion. Why would you be so irresponsible on such an important issue when we've heard them say day after day, year after year, we need significant investment in transportation in this state? Well, you know what? We couldn't agree more. We couldn't agree more. But if you look at the timeline of the last 13 months, you saw a governor who ran on trucks only. Then you saw a governor who a few minutes later said, I didn't realize how bad the financial situation in Connecticut was. I don't know how that's possible if you've lived here for 5 minutes. Then he said, I can't do trucks only. You want to know why? It wouldn't bring in anywhere near enough money to invest in transportation. Yet somehow that's where we are today. Trucks only. And it's for one reason and one reason only. The state of Connecticut general statutes does not allow the state of Connecticut to toll anybody and anything. And all they care about right now is putting that language in the statute, and then anything can happen. Why would a governor support a plan that he said did not invest in transportation anywhere near enough? Why would a legislature support that plan? The reason this bill is written so poorly, the reason this bill has so many loopholes in it, and the reason this bill is hurtful to Connecticut is because it was sloppily done just to get tolls on the books. Not care about a responsible investment in Connecticut. Not care about moving Connecticut forward, but just to do it their way. There are several other ways to do this, and we've all talked about that. They have no interest in that because their only way of governing in this state is and always has been to stick their hands in your pockets one more time. And every time they do, what do we end up with? Budgets with increased spending, tax increases, and multi-billion-dollar deficits. And the state of Connecticut has said not one more dime. there's loophole after loophole in this bill, but I will tell you all you need to know. Last week, all the leaders were at a Chamber of Commerce breakfast with over 500 people there. And as you can imagine, all 4 leaders had our usual robust debate about several issues, including tolls. And when it got to the Speaker of the House, his answer was very clear and very honest, and I thank him for his honesty, because he has made the point we've been making for a year. Any legislature can change any bill at any time. All they need is the votes. And at this time, I'm lucky enough to be able to introduce Pat Sasser, who has been the lead of the NoTolls.org organization and has helped this happen.
So first I want to thank the representatives and senators that have been working so hard to bring this issue of tolls to the forefront. And I also have to thank the thousands and thousands and thousands of people across this state who have become engaged in this issue. Had No Tolls CT not been formed 2 years ago and then really took off in 2019, there's not a doubt in my mind that the Democratic Party and this governor would have rammed 82 tolls down our throats. Tolls would be being built as we speak, we would be paying, but due to the efforts of the people in this state finally recognizing that our lawmakers have been spending our money irresponsibly for decades, diverting funds, all these different things that people have been paying attention to, that's what's now woken up the taxpayers of Connecticut. And because of their efforts, their phone calls, their emails, showing up to these public hearings, that's what has stopped this from moving forward. We all learned yesterday that they are not going to take a vote on Monday and Tuesday. They rushed to get this public hearing in place for today at 1 o'clock on a Friday. I have to thank everyone that showed up today to come speak at this event. I'm sure we all had better things to do. I took off from work today to be here as well. But this is an important issue. And this is an issue that we're going to continue to fight. It's important that the lawmakers come up with a solution that doesn't fall on the backs of us, the working class in this state. So I commend everyone up here for the hard work, everything that they've put into this. And again, I thank everyone for showing up today to this public hearing.